What's good? How y'all doing this afternoon? Welcome back to the Forever I Love Atlanta Sports Podcast. It's your boy, The Don. My co-host, King, he can't make it this afternoon. He's still stuck at work, 9 to 5, still going for him this week. Happy holidays to everybody. We're covering the game for this upcoming Sunday, the Atlanta Falcons versus the Kansas City Chiefs, the defending Super Bowl champs. I brought on a good friend of mine from RGF Football. What's good? Let everybody know who you are, where they can find you.
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having me. I'm Ryan Tracy from RGR Football here on YouTube and from the Locked On network of podcasts as well. I look at the Chiefs mostly and then a lot of work on the draft as well.
All right. And I already had a conversation with the guy telling him, man, when we start doing our draft prospect show in January, he's going to come on some more to talk about the draft. We already know what the Falcons need, but he's going to go more in depth of potentially what players we should look for after we look at the head coach and GM hire once we figure that out soon in the next few weeks. But if you're new to the channel, y'all already know what to do. Hit that subscribe button. Also hit that like button. Share this content out with Atlanta Sports Fanatics. And hit us up in the comment section. As always, come holler at your hometown sports podcast. All right. So the game this week coming up. Pull it up real quick. So the last time we played the Chiefs won 29-28 in 2016. I remember that game. I was at that game vividly. We had the lead, and
Eric Berry happened, right?
Yeah, we tried to go for two, and Matt Ryan threw the pick, and Eric Berry ran it back for a pick two. So yeah. I know the Chiefs are a very different team since then. They don't have Alex Smith anymore. We know that. Eric Berry's no longer on the team. They they're a complete different team. Hopefully if you ain't been living under a rock, they just won the Super Bowl this past year. And I remember that season. That was our last game. We lost all the way up to the Super Bowl when we lost against the Patriots. So just for a second, just tell me how you guys been playing this season so far. I know you guys are looking primed to make it back to the Super Bowl, but I just want to get your insight real quick on that.
It's been kind of a journey. It's obviously with the quarterback being who he is, Patrick Mahomes fixes a lot of flaws, right? And it lets you get past some things. But there's a lot of change on the offensive line. They're piecing it together basically week by week. Mitch Schwartz has been, an all-pro right tackle, a guy who played with Alex Mack, but he's been on the bench for a long time with a back issue. We don't even know if he's going to make it back for the playoffs. So that's kind of a big issue. And they're going to continue to just roll to try to keep Mahomes upright. But in the meantime, they've been doing a lot of stuff, trying to get the defense right. A lot of rookies are getting some playing time. LJ Snead's really making a name for himself. It was a nice pickup in the fourth round. A guy that played at La Tech with Amik Robertson, who got kind of all the press in the draft process, right? But he's come in the league and really made an impact, and that's helping quite a bit. If it wasn't for that uplift in the secondary, I think the Chiefs would be having a little bit more trouble allowing points and not being able to necessarily keep up.
Okay. I agree with y'all because y'all looking real good right now. We're pretty much looking at drafting in the top 5, which, on paper, we don't look like a 4-10 team right now. We look like we could have been in the playoffs, but to coaching, poor coaching, this is where we at now. Yeah. Do you agree with that?
From what I've seen from not being in the market every single day, yeah, I can see that. I mean, you have pieces. Certainly the roster has some things on it, a couple of offensive linemen I think you can still build around. Gurley coming home, that's always a nice thing, but it doesn't seem like it's been given the emphasis or the help that it needed, in my opinion. But I don't know. It's tough whenever you get those chemistry changes. And for an organization that's been there that long and had the leadership that it had at the top, I mean, just the removal of Pioli a couple of years ago, right? That was a step, right? But Dimitroff has been such a rock there that I think once you get out of your game plan as a roster building organization, especially when you have an older quarterback that you have to replace, I think that makes everything harder. And so sometimes you just don't make those picks that work out in the long run. I think that was an effect.
Dimitrov, he wanted to be this offensive juggernaut. That's what he wanted to do, and he said that himself after he got fired with the Falcons. And you just can't win off offense alone. You have to have a defense. You got to have balance. You got to be a well-balanced team to win games. And Matt Ryan and Julio Jones, they can't do it by themselves. They need the guys on the other side of the ball to do it. But ultimately, you have to have the coaching staff to win games, to go out there and game plan perfectively or close to it, to make the end game adjustments. Yeah, you can score 21 points in the first half, but what we're gonna do in the second half? And we seen this happen yesterday. So, but Matt Ryan right now is 2-1 against the Chiefs. All right, like I said, this Chiefs team that we playing now is totally different from what we used to be playing because we only see you guys every 4 years. Matt Ryan's thrown 5 touchdowns in 3 games against the Chiefs. This is Pat Mahomes' first time playing the Falcons in a regular season game. I know we've seen you guys in, was it the 2018 preseason game? Mm-hmm. I believe, yeah. And yeah, y'all came in at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Y'all beat us in that preseason game.
That was that first long bomb from Mahomes, right? Where you first got a glimpse of what it might turn into.
Yeah, we seen it, and it was a dime too.
Yeah.
So the first meet we played against y'all, I'm just spitting out history right now, was in 1972. Y'all won that game 17-14. We played each other 9 times so far, and y'all lead the series 6-3. So and right now that y'all still on the longest win streak of the Falcons with 4 consecutive wins from 1972 to 1994. All right. So, did you leave?
I lost battery on my camera. Hang on 1 second.
You good, man? We're going to skip over the injury report because we don't know who's going to suit up or not. It's too early in the week. We had to do the show a little earlier because normally we do our shows on Thursday, but Thursday is Christmas Eve, and who about to do a show on Christmas Eve? No. So
I'm trying not to. I'll tell you that.
Look, man, I'm not doing anything on Christmas Eve. I'm just relaxing with my family. But so let's talk about the direction that both teams going in. Like we said, you guys are looking at y'all are defending Super Bowl champs. Y'all are trying to repeat for that. Tell me how likely that is.
I mean, nothing's ever for sure, but are all the chances that we've seen of the Super Bowl hangover not happening and a team having a chance to go back? I feel pretty strong that this is one of the teams that has looked the best since we saw the whole Brady juggernaut continue to just kind of roll year over year. But even then, it's never a given. It's always a contest of who gets into the dance. And then once you're there, what can you do? Because some teams are going to get hot. And even on the AFC side, I mean, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, I'm a little thankful actually that the Raiders didn't make it because there's a matchup thing there because you play that team over and over and over twice a year. Like there's something there. So I'm a little relieved at that point, but I feel like they have a 50-50 chance, if not more.
Yeah. But I feel like right now the teams, I feel like they're going to get hot in the playoffs in the AFC side, Tennessee and Buffalo. Like AFC, NFC, I'm really scared about those Seahawks. Seahawks right now, they're flying a little bit under the radar. No team's not really giving them credit. Yeah, we know the Rams are favorites right now to win the NFC West. But when the Seahawks, we know when they get in that playoffs, man, they grind it out.
And it was a tough day yesterday, right? So they struggled with Washington, and I can't remember not to say the name of that team. And then you saw the Rams not put out either. So like
they beat the Jets. They got beat by the Jets. So yeah,
like of all teams, right? Like I didn't see that coming in a heartbeat.
But the last 4 games of the season, last 4 weeks of the season, man, it's filled with trap games for a lot of teams that's trying to make that's going to be in the playoffs, and you got those teams who want to keep you from going up in the playoffs or put you down lower in the seed so you can won't get a first week bye because there's only going to be one team that's getting the bye. This year, so every other team they got to play the first week opening of the playoffs. So that's interesting.
It puts a lot of stress on them, right? Yeah, I can't imagine like you feel like you're up here and you're just kind of floating through until what you think is a team that you can get past, and then you step on it and something blows up in your face. it's a difficult job, I think.
Yeah. So y'all looking at defending, y'all looking at repeating the Falcons right now. You know the story. We fired Dan Quinn after week 5 when we lost against the Panthers. We went 0-5 for that stretch. And we got Raheem Morris as an interim. He's not looking good right now. He's 4-5. He's right now, he only won one divisional game, and that was against the Panthers, and lost the past 3 games against, 2 against the Saints and yesterday against the Bucks. That's not a good look for someone who's trying to get an interview for the head coaching job. So I know you mentioned we're looking at Eric Bieniemy as a head coach, and I'm going to sit here and tell you that I don't think he'd be a good fit here in Atlanta.
Okay. I can see part of that, especially when you have what is a quarterback that's kind of like got his offense, right? He's got his strengths, and he's not really the creative type. He's not the mobile type. It kind of doesn't fit what we've seen EB help Andy Reid and Mahomes do. But that said, I think both he in getting new offensive tools and getting your quarterback of the future, honestly, to be able to kind of mold and bring up, I think he'd be solid at that. And I think Morris deserves a shot because you're right, his record isn't great, but he's playing with guys that don't fit his scheme, that don't necessarily respond to him. I think you give the guy the reins. I like him as a coach,
but he's still running. He's still running Dan Quinn's defense though. He's still running that cover 3, and that cover 3 is flawed.
Yeah.
And you're not trying to be creative at all, and you're not holding any of your coaching staff accountable with the bad play calling on offense. It's the same passiveness that we had here with Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn allowed his coordinators to pretty much do, especially his offense coordinator, because you see what happened with Kyle Shanahan in the Super Bowl. He didn't hold him in any standard of, hey, we got a huge lead, just run the ball, run the clock out. Yeah. He didn't do that. So I feel like we need a new voice here. We don't need any remnants of Dan Quinn and his coaching staff still lingering behind. Other than I say, keep a guy like Greg Knapp as a quarterback coach for Matt Ryan.
Yeah, knowing you got a young kid coming in eventually, right?
What young kid coming in?
Well, you're gonna have to draft somebody, right?
I don't feel like we should be drafting a quarterback right now. Not this year, because if you look at it, the problem with the Falcons right now, if you look at DVOA as far as defense and you break everything down, we have no pass rush. Yeah. We cannot get after the quarterback at all. Our secondary is kind of suspect, but we do have young guys there. But I feel like that free safety spot is wide open. Ricardo Allen, he's our starting free safety, and his contract is over this year. So we have to look at a free safety. And you look at the offensive side, the only issue we have right there is the left guard spot. And, I know some people sit up here and say, well, because I'm thinking about Alex Mack. Alex Mack might end up retiring after this season. So that center spot is going to be wide open as well. We have too many issues to be drafting a quarterback this year. Next year, maybe, but not this year. And I'm saying that because Matt Ryan can still put up numbers. He's still a good quarterback. He's still a great quarterback in this league. It's just the play calling has been garbage. Dirk Cutter is just not a good play caller. He's not creative. He come out there copy and paste the same game plan every week.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you give Matt Ryan a better play caller, then he will perform way better. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So when you get to that point, that's a good point. Do you want them to invest in a quarterback so you get that overlap so that as Ryan moves forward with a new caller, you can get him to kind of rub off on a young guy? Because you're going to have a decent draft pick, but it's not going to be, you're not picking top 3, so it's never going to be the number 1 QB, right?
Yeah, but I just feel like with our cap situation too right now, when you draft a quarterback top 5, you're going to be paying him somewhere between 12 to 17 mil a year, somewhere around that range. And we looking at right now going into the off season with dead cap. Well, not dead cap, negative in the cap space. So we don't have the luxury. Like I know the Packers did that with Jordan Love. The Eagles did that with Jalen Hurts. They had cap space. They can do that. Yeah. We don't have the luxury to do that. And then on top of that, the main issue with the Falcons has been defense.
Is it like the hangover of Vic Beasley?
You talking about like him not working out as our passer?
Well, him being the focus of a defensive front that didn't, live up to what they thought it would, right? And so does that hurt the rest of the defensive front too?
I don't think so, because we also had Tat McKinley here as well, and we can develop him neither. Yeah. You got Grady Jarrett. I just feel like our defensive line was built wrong and was flawed to begin with, because we had smaller guys. Look, if you look at Vic Beasley, Vic Beasley is what, 240. All right, probably less than that. And you asking this man to line up as a DN with his hands in the dirt against somebody that's 300 plus pounds. You're not going to win that. You're not going to win that battle. You might win some battles, but you're not going to win the war. All right, same thing with Tat. Tat was like, what, 245, 250? We need bigger guys up front. We need some bigger guys. Like, look at Cam Jordan. Cam Jordan, what, almost 290.
Right.
So
a classic 3 or 4-3 DN, big, set the edge. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yes.
You can lean on your linebackers, though. Like, I don't know what's going to happen with Deion Jones, but like he seems to be like the guy that you need to build that whole middle part around and let him kind of dominate like how they attack with whatever they have in the defensive front.
And he's looking good. At Fourier Olakun looking good as well, the other linebacker. But I feel like we should move Fourier to Mike and move Deion to outside linebacker. And if you want these guys to play way better, I feel like we need to draft a bigger one-tech guy. Because we don't have that. Tyler Davidson, he's our one-tech guy. He's not even that big.
Yeah, like what, 295?
Yeah, something like that. We need to get – that's why, in 2019, I was upset because Dexter Lawrence was still on the board, and we didn't draft him. We drafted Chris Leshner, which is a good pick. He was the best guard in the draft. But, Dexter Lawrence would have helped out a guy like Deion Jones and the rest of the linebacker core to keep them clean. You look at teams that has good linebackers – they got a big guy up front eating up blocks, so those linebackers, they can shoot their gaps and make plays in the backfield.
Yeah, they need it. They need the help, especially if you're going to stay in that 4-man front. I know there's talk about, depending on who comes in, going back to that 3-4, and I don't think the personnel's there either. You're kind of stuck in between at this point.
Yeah, so I know a lot of people here in Atlanta, they want Eric Bieniemy. They want a guy, but the main focus to me should be on the general manager. A lot of people sitting up here saying that they want Louis Riddick as a GM. I don't like Louis Riddick at all. What he did for that Eagles team back in 2011-12, brought all those free agents in, quote unquote dream team, and they do anything with it. They went 8-8, missed the playoffs next year. They got Andy Reid fired. And I know that's the best thing to happen with the Chiefs. Y'all got Andy Reid.
Sure, and more importantly, Andy learned his lesson, because I actually wouldn't put it on Louis, because Louis at the time was working for Andy. Like that, the way that it was set up, where Andy had final control over the roster too. That I think that was a mistake. That's the thing that they learned, and that's why he doesn't do that now. That's why he has Brett Veach, and I think that balance kind of helps him in general.
Yeah. But I like a guy like general manager. I like a guy like Joe Ortiz out of Baltimore. Jeff Ireland, look what he did with the Saints organization for the past, 4 or 5 years. George Payton up there in Minnesota. Dorsey is another person. He was with Kansas City for a minute as well. Those guys I feel like should come to Atlanta to build this team. We need a general manager who's not going to be just one-sided. We need someone who's going to have a balance, who can also look at draft, because we got to, if we want to have a quick turnaround with this team, it has to be through the draft.
Yeah, and it sounds like you're leaning towards guys with a lot of experience too.
Yes, that's what we need. We need someone who has a lot of experience, who has an eye for college talent.
That's hard to come by these days, right? It's not just all offense, but
exactly.
I think you're on track. And if you have a couple of pieces like you do now, like Lindstrom, that's a good one on the offensive line that you can then add to and build back. I don't think that the Atlanta organization has to be a total teardown like a lot of these clubs are. Yeah,
it's a retool. It's not a rebuild. That's why I say every time I blow up the team. Well, you can't blow up the team. You can't trade Matt Ryan right now because of the cap. Yeah, he if you trade him right now, that's like 60 or 70 million in dead cap space, and you're going to be rebuilding for years, because you're not going to be able to bring any free agents in. Like right now, we already made a mistake in paying Dante Fowler, all this money. He only gave us a sack and a half so far. That's it.
I didn't realize that.
That's it.
Yeah, that ain't open.
I'm telling you, like we Dimitrov, he made some bad moves, He does not know. Like this is the problem with the Falcons. We never invested in the trenches the right way.
So, do you think the line is where you start? So, whoever the new GM is, take what you got and rebuild the line.
Yes, I feel like a guy like Gregory Rousseau, my co-host King. He said a guy named Micah Parsons from I think he played at Penn State.
Yep.
I think those are two guys to look for. Another person, if he falls to us, I know it won't be a need, but it'd be like best player available. Would be the guy Sewell from Oregon, the offensive tackle.
Yeah,
I like him. I think he's the best person in the top 10 right now.
He's a monster. Yeah.
Yes, I feel like that. You talk about generational talent. That's generational talent right there.
Yeah, and then gives you your transition from an older quarterback that needs that backside protected into wherever your QB of the future is going to be, and gives you that linchpin. I'm with you.
Exactly. Appreciate it. So I guess let's go ahead and start talking about the prediction of the game, because I know you got to get off here in a second. So what's your prediction? Who you think is going to win Sunday?
I'd love to tell you that it's in doubt, but I'm pretty confident Kansas City's got the win in there. I think it's going to be about how can the Falcons exploit the defense. There's obviously been up and down on the Chiefs side of the defense, so I don't think it's going to be like a total blowout. You know what I mean? I see a lot of people talking like that, and I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think the Jones and Kelsey matchup is going to be pretty great, because that's where I'd put Jones. I don't know if they will, but
yeah. Man, you just brought up that, and I'm like, ugh, that's not gonna look good.
Yeah, it hurts, right?
Yeah, Jones is good. Like Jones is better at like stopping the run. Getting running backs out of the backfield. As far as tight ends go, he can be iffy on that. But I really see this game. I ain't gonna say this is gonna be an ugly game, but I feel like this is gonna be a game that we just gonna go up to Kansas City and just gonna be like with our heads down. Like, just being honest with you, we're going to lose this game by at least 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's probably about right. But focus on the spark that you can get. It's also a tough thing, because the Chiefs are coming off that win against the Saints, right? Where they went down to the wire and they had put out the entire game. Guys are a little bit tired. Lost Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That's a tough one.
Ooh,
you got to.
You need your running back, especially in the playoffs.
Got to count on Lev Bell now. And, Lev's starting to pick up speed a little bit. He's been slow since he signed to get into the offense, but there's some question marks there. So, I don't know that the front's gonna give you that much trouble against what the Chiefs have in a rebuild offensive line. But I think it's going to be competitive for a bit, and we'll see what happens.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, my score for the game will probably be somewhere between, I'd say, 28-14.
Yeah,
something like that. So
I think Kansas City's going to break 30. I'm going to call it.
I was just trying to be a little,
optimistic
because our defense did. I feel like our defense, they played well, against Tampa Bay, yesterday. But it's just that first half, and then the second half, we went back to playing prevent defense, bend but don't break. But we actually broke every time. We allowed them to score on every drive in the second quarter. So.
That's what gets you. I think I'll go like 33-21. We'll call it that.
Right. That'll work. All right. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you coming on this show. We enjoyed it. Also, let everybody know, who you are again, where they can find you.
Yeah, I appreciate the time, and thanks for having me on. I don't get to talk to Falcon fan that often. I got family down there, so they probably enjoy it a little bit. But you can find me at Rogue Analytics, is where I do all the draft metrics. Basically, my system is built on top of all the draft metrics you've ever seen from the combine and everything else. It's just twisted into a functional metric that actually works. So I do that. I'm over at RGR Football here on YouTube, and you can find me on Locked On NFL and Locked On Chiefs on the podcast network.
All right. Thank you for coming on. And yes, we will be setting up some times, probably in January, February, probably in March, a few times you come on the show and just talk about insight on draft picks.
Sure thing, man. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you. Also, you guys, if you're watching this live, appreciate y'all watching live. If you're watching this at a later time, let us know your prediction for the game this upcoming week. Just let us know in the comment section. Also, if you're new to the channel, you already know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share this content out with Atlanta Sports Fanatics, and hit us up in the comment section. As always, come holler at your hometown sports podcast. It's your boy, The Don. with another episode of a fan show to predict upcoming game for the week. Y'all have a great Monday. I'll see y'all later. Y'all stay safe. Don't forget to wear your mask.